Hi guys, so I've been extremely critical of Jeremy Corbyn in the past when it came to Brexit, when it came to his leadership, and generally his way of campaigning. And I hold him at least partly responsible for sweeping Boris Johnson into power with an 80-seat majority. Now, apart from that, I do respect him greatly when it comes to social issues. For when he's a backbencher, when he's an attack dog, and he's on the right side of history in most cases. And once again, here is a perfect example of Jeremy Corbyn being on the right side of history. Let's hear what he had to say.
And indeed, I love Nelson Mandela Place in Glasgow. It's fantastic. And if I may, through the honourable member, convey my congratulations to Glasgow University for recognising that it should repay the compensation they were given for the money they received at the end of the slave trade. Because it is the issue of colonial brutality that I think should be taught to our children, and the way in which the slave trading enriched the already rich in Britain. And some of our biggest companies relied on the slave trade to provide them the profits from banking and sugar. And whilst the abolitionists often... sorry, I beg your pardon, yes.
Okay, so the minister is going to respond, but he's correct here. What is the problem with children learning about history? History is not just something painted in beautiful colors. There's horrible aspects of history. If we were to look at the Second World War only from some positive point of view, we would miss the vast majority of it. Colonialism, I struggle to find something positive about it, but you have to teach children about the both sides of colonialism, both sides of the empire. Why would you be afraid of explaining to people, to young people, to children, the good and the bad?
I thank the Right Honourable Member for giving way. But does he not feel that by turning the curriculum into a list of all the things that Britain has done wrong to people of a certain race...
Where did he say that? What you're doing here is strawmanning him. What you're doing is you're pretending that he said something and you're attacking that, when in reality he didn't say anything about that. He said that children should learn about their history, should learn about the history of the empire, and the empire was brutal. Now, if you want to argue the positives of the empire, go ahead, but you have to acknowledge that it was brutal. Now, he didn't bring up the point about who it was brutal to, but you're sort of implying that he's saying that it's brutal towards one group of people in society.
They are actually distorting a history of our nation and not giving a true picture, not just of the activities of this country, but also activities of people who share my skin colour, which were not always as wholesome as people...
Okay, so what aboutism? So she's a true Tory. What about, those horrible people in other African nations that did horrible things to other people in their countries? What about the Japanese Empire? That was terrible. Why aren't we talking about the Japanese Empire? What are we talking about? The Incas? Why aren't we talking about the Romans? Why aren't we talking about all these other empires? Why are we only focusing on the British Empire? Now, this lady is the Minister for Equalities. Now, I know the Conservative Party have a Minister for Equalities. Now, I've said this before, and I know I'm going to get some flack for this, but the Conservative Party don't care about ethnic minorities. Because if they did, they wouldn't just put a figurehead there. They would put someone who actually cares about ethnic minorities. Now, you may be saying, well, Max, how dare you say that this lady doesn't care about ethnic minorities or about equality? Well, once again, let's have a look at her voting record. Now, unfortunately, she hasn't been in Parliament for a very long time, so she doesn't have a long voting record. But from the little that I can find, it's not very supportive of equality. Now, on the issue of human rights, so all votes about laws to promote equality and human rights, so equality from the Equality Minister. We have here on the 18th of July 2019, Kimi Bardanoch was absent for a vote on Northern Ireland Executive Formation Bill, Laws Amendment, Abortion, Marriage and Civil Partnerships, Transparency, etc. She was absent. Why was she absent? Wouldn't you think if she cared about equalities, she would be present? She was also absent on a bill for marriage of same-sex couples. Absent. Was she sick that day? On those both days, because it took place on 2 different days. On the 13th of June 2018, she voted against largely remaining in EU Charter for Fundamental Rights as part of the UK following the UK's withdrawal from the EU, from the European Union. So a Charter for Fundamental Rights, she voted against that. So when it came to Brexit or human rights or civil rights, she said, no, we go with Brexit. And the Conservative Party have made her a minister. You know, you'd think a minister for equalities would care a little bit about equalities, but obviously she doesn't. And they put her there in that position, and I know this is going to piss people off, but because she's black. Not because she actually cares about ethnic minorities. I haven't heard her actually say anything in support of them. She's there because she creates a facade for the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party can do horrible crap, and they can say, but look at who's presenting it. It's a cynical, disgusting and racist approach that the Conservative Party have. What they're doing is they're hiding behind this woman. They're putting her forward and hoping that she will deflect criticism. But she's not someone who cares about ethnic minorities. Otherwise, she would be present and she would vote for that. Vote for equality even. It doesn't have to be ethnic minorities, just equality.
People on his side want to make out.
It's not about distorting history. It's about the reality of history that should be taught. And
well done, Jeremy. It's about the reality of history. It's not, how can you distort history by telling people, yes, we did some bad things? Really, I think anyone who has studied anything, you don't need to be a post-colonial scholar. Anyone who has studied anything about the British Empire will understand, will agree that some bad things were done. Why do you want to hide that from people? Why do you want to hide that from children?
And that means understanding what the slave trade was about, what the brutality of colonialism is, and the way in which people...
So isn't it sad that you have an old white guy attacking slavery, and you have a younger black woman basically defending it?
People were treated. And whilst there are many in this House who say that William Wilberforce was wonderful in his presentation of the abolition legislation in this very chamber, excellent, and that the Reverend Thomas Clarkson risked all to tour the whole country, explaining to people just how evil the slave trade was, and he showed them the accoutrements of torture that he took with him around the country. The reality is that the slave trade was abolished, and slavery was abolished by the selfless bravery of slaves who rejected it in the plantations in the Caribbean and the Americas and elsewhere. And I would want our children in our schools to understand what those people went through.
I agree 100%, and well done to Jeremy Corbyn for raising this point. What is wrong with education? What is wrong with children understanding reality? Understanding the reality of history, understanding that, we learn about the good of the empire, we also have to learn about the bad of the empire. Empires generally are not peaceful entities. They generally conquer, and when they conquer, They kill people. They enslave people. They take away people's rights. They segregate people. And this is part of empire building. What is wrong with telling people the truth? I understand the Conservative Party want to create some sort of beautiful picture of the empire, because I think many of them want to return to that. Certain Brexiteers definitely want to return to some sort of empire. I don't know what type of empire they want. Boris Johnson is sending warships to defend the coasts as we speak. You have to embrace your history, both the positive and the negative. Otherwise, you risk ignoring it and allowing it to happen once again. Once again, as I said at the beginning, I'm not a huge fan of Jeremy Corbyn, but when he says something right, I'll commend him for that. And I commend him here. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?